Hello again, watch friends. Welcome back. I'd like to do something a little different in this video. I want to share some of my thoughts on my next watch or potential next watch. I think this might be interesting and maybe even informative to my fellow watch collectors as one decides what's next for the collection. When considering the pros and cons, I'm primarily talking about them being relative to my existing collection. And I'd be interested in your feedback. How do you go about prioritizing your collection? Feel free to share your comments below. So the contenders are the Grand Seiko GMT Mechanical High Beat. This is the SBGJ217. It's the 2017 version of the watch with the logo placed at the top, the Grand Seiko logo, no Seiko marquee. It's a 40 millimeter case, 13.9 millimeters thick, with a box-shaped sapphire, anti-reflection coating on the inner surface, and this uses the Grand Seiko caliber 9S86. As you might know, their calibers 9S are the mechanical watches, 9R are the spring drives, and 9F are the quartz watches. The accuracy of this Grand Seiko piece is -5 to +3 seconds a day, and it has a power reserve of 55 hours. So what are the pros of this particular watch? Well, I very much want to add a Grand Seiko High Beat to my collection, and this could be it. This one I think is beautiful, albeit a little bit thick. The accuracy is better than chronometer grade, and it has the usual Grand Seiko excellent finishing and extremely high quality. There are some cons. First of which is I have two Grand Seiko pieces already, including the mechanical GMT SBGM021. So this GMT may be a duplication. The 021 is a beautiful cream dial mechanical GMT that I've already done a video on, and you'll see up at the top of the screen a link to it. I'd like to have a representation of all the Grand Seiko pieces. A spring drive, which I already have, as I mentioned, a high beat, a mechanical, a quartz, even a snowflake. So I need to prioritize the other models in deciding which next Grand Seiko I would get, not to mention which next watch I would get. And as I said, I've done a video on both my GMT and the spring drive, so check them out for more details on those pieces. The next contender is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Ultra Thin Moon Phase in stainless. This is reference 1368420. It uses the caliber 925/1. It's got a 43-hour power reserve, 50 meter water resistance. It's 39 millimeter thick, 39 millimeter in diameter, 9.9 millimeters thick. It's got date, hour, minute, seconds, and moon phases. Uses Dauphine hands, 28,800 vibrations per hour, and it's got a beautiful silvery sunray brushed dial with rhodium plated hour markers. So the pros on the JLC moon phase, I do want to add a moon phase to my collection. I don't have one now. I could buy a less expensive Longines or Frederic Constant or a similar piece, but I probably wouldn't be satisfied with any of those. And A. Lange and Glashutte Original are really out of my price range. Finally, this JLC moon phase is definitely high horology. The movement, the heritage, the quality of the case and dial, just fantastic. Cons on the JLC? Well, should a moon phase be next? I don't know. Is there something of equal quality in the same price range that would make me happy and be a keeper? And finally, I just added the JLC Master Control Sector dial earlier this year. Should I be adding another JLC so soon? I guess that's definitely a first world kind of problem. By the way, I did do a review of the JLC Master Control Sector dial, and I put a link at the top of the screen if you want to check that out for more details. The third contender is the Glashutte Original Senator hand date. That's quite a mouthful. This is reference 13958020204. Now, this GO has the in-house automatic caliber 39-58. It's stainless steel. It's got a signed crown, exhibition case back, 50 meter water resist, and it's 40 millimeters in diameter and 11.2 millimeters high. So still in my sweet spot, which is roughly 38 to 40-ish millimeters. And this isn't all that thick, but not as thin as perhaps some of the other ones. It's got and this Glashutte has a bicompax, fine, very fine matte silver dial with small seconds and date subdials. So it's got the two subdials, one at 3, one at 9 o'clock, and just a gorgeous watch. So the pros for the Glashutte: exquisite finishing, definitely high horology, and of course the movement, in-house movement, is one of the best. I just love that dial. I could look at that dial for quite a long time. I wanted to add a Glashutte original to the collection. Kind of held off because they're rather expensive. This particular GO is what I consider the entry level, since it's, I think, maybe the least expensive model they have. But if you look at the movement, the finishing on the movement, and the quality, it's really up there with some of their other models. No doubt Glashutte original has a reputation, a deserved reputation. The cons for the Glashutte original: if I could only have one Glashutte original piece in my collection, is this the one? It's another con. It's another dress watch. I wear suits only to weddings and funerals, so I don't dress up that much. Although this would certainly upgrade my look if I wore this to work, wearing casual clothes. And finally, the last con for the Glashutte is I may not be able to get a good deal on the GO as some of the other pieces I'm considering. Obviously, it depends where I buy it. So that's to be determined. The last contender is the Zenith 1969 El Primero chronograph. It's reference 03 2150 400 / 69 C as in Charles 713. This piece uses the El Primero caliber 400, 36,000 vibrations per hour, so it's a high beat. It's the automatic El Primero column wheel chronograph in the original 1969 case. That's 38 millimeters in diameter. Got a 50-hour power reserve. Finishing is really quite nice, and I mean, just looking at that movement through the exhibition case back, is fantastic. It's got the rotor has the Côte de Genève motif. Looks really nice. Thickness is 12.45 millimeters. So 38 millimeter diameter. Great size. One of my favorite sizes. 12.5 roughly millimeters thick. A little bit on the thick side, but not quite as thick as the Grand Seiko. It's got a domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective treatment on both sides. The case back is a transparent sapphire crystal, 100 meter water resist, a little bit more robust in the water resistance area. And the dial is the very famous silver-toned sunray pattern dial with 3 different colored subdials or counters. The hours and the hour markers and the hands are rhodium plated, coated with superluminova SLN C1. So the pros for the Zenith. I don't have a high-end chronograph now, and this, of course, would make an excellent addition. The El Primero movement, need I say more? It's high horology and a true classic, and again, it's that sweet spot size-wise, at least for me. Cons for the Zenith. Should an extremely high-quality chronograph be next for me, for my collection? What other chronos in this price range would be an alternative or maybe even a better choice? Finally, I have a wild card. I did say there were 4 watches in contention, but as a watch collector, you can never just stop at 4. So the wild card is a Nomos Orion White. This is reference 306. It's manual winding, 35 millimeter and 8.45 millimeters thick. So the measurements are smallish, 35 and roughly 8.5. But as you can see later in the video, when I show pictures of me having this Nomos on my wrist, it actually wears bigger than the size, and it looks just right. Stainless steel case, curved sapphire crystal glass front and back, 30 meter water resistance, so it's essentially splash proof. You wouldn't want to take this anywhere near doing the dishes or being caught in the rain or whatever, but such is the case. Power reserve is 43 hours. And I gotta say, the Nomos comes with a Horween shell cordovan black strap. That's one of the nicest straps I've seen. It's just a beautiful strap. 18 millimeter lug width. The movement on the Nomos is their in-house caliber A or alpha manual winding with hacking. So the pros for the Nomos: it's Bauhaus inspired beauty. It's nothing ostentatious, and it's what I would consider, or what I would call, quiet luxury. I've wanted a Nomos in the collection for quite some time, so this obviously would fill that need, and it's affordable. I think Nomos watches are a tremendous value proposition between the quality and the finishing and the style, the design. It's just fantastic. And of course, that wonderful movement that you see through the open case back. That's one of the highlights of any Nomos watch that has their in-house movements. Cons: well, if I bought the Nomos, it would probably delay getting one of the other contenders. And secondly, it's a dress watch. As I mentioned, I don't dress up much, although I do dress nicely for work, even though it's business casual. And I could wear this watch to the office. I think the watch is probably more classy than I am, but nonetheless, a beautiful watch. So, those are the contenders and a wild card thrown in. Here are some pictures of them on the wrist. So the good news, or perhaps the bad news, depending on how you look at it, is that they all look great on my wrist. No doubt about it. And there you have it. A couple high beat watches, a GMT, a moon phase, a chronograph, not to mention 2 beautiful dress watches from Glashutte, Germany. So, what to choose? I'm not sure yet. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe below if you want to be notified of future content on my channel. And leave a comment on how you either have built or are building your watch collection. Or maybe comment with your opinion on my contenders. In any case, I'll see you next time.